Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. Thank you so much for coming in to watch this video, and we have a lot to talk about. But first, I want to apologize for the late post today. My wife and I agreed to get our boys a Christmas present, a puppy. So we went to a rescue. We got a little female beagle puppy for him, and it took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. I wanted to name the puppy Minnie for miners. I got voted against that, and the puppy is now named Pebbles. Secondly, I had a mistake in my video yesterday. So the metrics that I provided as far as which companies are undervalued or overvalued, I misinterpreted my own data here. So we'll get into that. And I'm very thankful for Anthony Power for talking to me today for about an hour. We discussed all of this and other things as well. And so I got to say very, very much thank you to Anthony Power for pointing this out mistake to me. And as you guys know, I'm only human. I will make mistakes from time to time, but I do own up to them. So if I make a mistake, I will correct it going into the next video as soon as I can. Okay. So a couple of things that we talked about with Anthony was obviously the metrics that I was using and how I misinterpreted the data. And we'll get into that here shortly. And then other things that we talked about also that was kind of interesting to me was Anthony was trying to get the miners to standardize the way that they report their monthly production updates. And I think that is a very, very good thing. So I will be also kind of backing Anthony in this as well. So hopefully one of these days I'll get Anthony on because he has a breadth of knowledge as far as the miners. He has some great context with the miners, the CEOs themselves, and he has a lot of insights in that. So maybe one of these days we'll get him on, okay? Other things we'll take a look at is Stronghold. They got some money. We'll take a look at Hive. They bought some miners as well. So we'll look at those things towards the end of the video. But as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research and invest in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoyed this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. So let's take a look at the miners here and Bitcoin really quick because they really had a great day today. At least the miners did. Bitcoin was kind of flat on the day. So Bitcoin kind of finished up. It was still up on the day. It was up 0.32%. So it was up on the day, closed at 44,013. But the miners still had a really great day today. So if we look at the miners really quick, Sphere 3D basically was up 14.4% on the day. Argo was up 35%. I mean, there's really no news for Argo, and they are just rocketing right now. And I think it's just the cyclical, well, not really the cyclical nature, but just the movement from miners that were undervalued to being now overvalued possibly to miners that are still undervalued. So we're seeing that kind of rotation happening right now in some of these, right? And you can see it here as well in Bit Digital. They were up today 12.7%. BitDeer was up another 20% today, which was a huge day for them. Bitfarms was up slightly, 3.46. We've seen a huge rally in Bitfarms, right? So it's kind of pulled back a little bit here as far as the appreciation that we're seeing, but still doing really well. Cypher was actually down at 8.49%, which was surprising because they've also had a pretty good rally. So this might be a little pullback for them. CleanSpark was also up only 3.12%, also a little bit lower on where we've seen it before. And again, they've had a huge rally here as well. Core Scientific was up 16.8%, so they're up above their 52-week high, I believe, right now. If we look at it here, yeah, they're above their 52-week high as well. DigiHost was up 11% today. DMG was up 21%, above their 52-week highs here as well. So we're seeing kind of that rotation happening, like I said. Greens was up 15% today as well. Hive was up 4.29%. HUD was up 13% on the day. Iris Energy up another 8.9%, had a huge gain yesterday. And that one finished up the day with new 52-week highs as well. Marathon was up 7.7%. Again, 52-week highs here recently that they reached in the last week or so. Mawson was up 16.67%, right? Another one that really doesn't have much good news, but they're still pumping really hard, but they were really undervalued. Riot, 6.15% on the day. Soluna was up 7%. Stronghold, 31% on the day, right? Really no good news. Well, the news that they did provide was mixed a little bit. They got some cash, but they also provided some information on their facility. We'll take a look at that here shortly. And then Wolf was up 3.37% on the day as well. So really good day for the miners. Bitcoin was kind of flat on the day, which is kind of surprising to see. So I think people are definitely viewing the miners as a leverage play going forward. And it's definitely nice to see. Okay. So let's get into my misinterpretation of the data that I had here. So here's where I think I went wrong. Based on when I talked to Anthony on this, I looked over my data here and I figured out why I think I misrepresented the data or misinterpreted the data here. So this was from yesterday's video. We were looking at the market cap versus the hash rate of the miners. What are the miners getting for that? So here's what happened. I was looking at Core, right? Core is getting $27,920 roughly per petahash, and they're at 15.2. This, based on the charts here that I'm seeing here, looked like they were undervalued compared to the other miners, right? Which is true, it's the case here. But then when we look at Marathon here, Marathon's at 23 exahash right now, and they were being valued at 236,000 per petahash. This is where I went wrong. I looked at the charts and I thought that these numbers here that were above the blue lines were the overvalued, and the ones that were actually higher up here and had the red lines below the blue lines, those were undervalued. Misinterpret that data completely. So I do apologize for that. And like I said, I may make mistakes from time to time, and I'll always own up to it if I make a mistake, and I'll let you guys know. So they're getting actually 236,000 for petahash. So that is the correction here where I misinterpreted the data, and that should be where Marathon, Riot are way overvalued for what they actually have right now as far as per petahash, right? Because they're getting 278,000 like Riot here is, while some of these other miners are only getting 28,000, right, per petahash. So that's the juxtaposition, I guess you could say, on these. So I redid the data here, and that's why it kind of took me a little bit longer, and I apologize for the late video here, but I wanted to get this stuff right and make the metrics here work the way that they really should work. Okay, so in these here, we're still looking at the same things here. I did get rid of the BTC production for November numbers against their market cap because that really doesn't give us anything, I guess you could say, worthy to look at there. But we're just looking at here at market cap versus hash rate, and then market cap versus future hash rate, and then market cap minus HODL against hash rate, and then market cap minus HODL against future hash rate. Okay, so on these, I actually graded these instead of being 1 for, or -1 for undervalued, 0 for being fairly valued, to 1 being overvalued. I just scored them from the most undervalued per petahash to the highest number here. Okay. So now looking at all these numbers here, we can see here that Riot came in at number 18, so the most overvalued for petahash they have right now operating. Marathon came in 17th place, CleanSpark came in at number 16 spot, and then you got obviously Stronghold and Mawson in 1 and 2 spot. But there's a reason for this, right? You have to take everything into account here. Stronghold obviously has quite a bit of debt. They do have some good things on the horizon where they're going to be capturing the carbon. Well, they're going to be capturing carbon. They're going to be getting carbon credits for that, so that might be helping them out. The other thing is that their operational cost is way up there, so they got to get that down, I think, in order to really have the stock move for them. Mawson, same thing, more or less. Pretty small miner there. Sphere 3D, same thing. So there's reasons why these are getting undervalued, basically, for their petahash they have right now. Core is another one, right? Core's in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. There's a reason for it. So those are the numbers there for market cap divided by hash rate. And you can see what each miner is getting here right now. Then when we take a look at market cap for future hash rate, you can still pretty much see the same thing, but now you got Marathon getting still the most here for 18th spot. Riot came down to the 13th spot on this. CleanSpark the 14th spot. So you can see that the future hash rate growth does impact obviously the future hash rate, or the market cap per future hash rate, but they're being priced for that going forward. And you can see the rest of the numbers here. So you got Stronghold and Mawson again in number 1 and 2 spot, Sphere number 3 spot, Core number 4 spot. And that's because there's a reason for why they're getting undervalued on those things. I think Core, once they get out of bankruptcy, might actually start peaking a little bit here. We're seeing a nice little rally here in Core in the last couple of days, as well as they're getting close to their Chapter 11 bankruptcy, getting out of it basically. Right. So then we're seeing like Iris here. Iris is operating really well here. They're in number 7 spot, 8 spot. Hive as well. TerraWolf. So those guys are still undervalued for, compared to some of the other bigger miners here, what they're getting for per petahash basically on the market cap side of things. Then when we look at the market cap minus HODL, so we're taking out what the HODL value is and then dividing it by the hash rate that they currently have. And we can see here that Marathon comes in at 17, right at number 18, CleanSpark at 16, Hive at number 11, BitDeer at number 13, BitDigital number 12, Cypher number 15, so definitely way up there here a little bit. And then you got Stronghold, Moss, and Sphere 3D, and Core again being the ones that are basically undervalued for their hash rate that they do have. Core especially. I mean, Core has about 15 exahash, right? They're definitely being way undervalued here on this, but they are in Chapter 11 bankruptcy right now. So then when we take a look at the market cap minus HODL, we can see the same story here again. Stronghold, Mawson, Sphere 3D, Core being basically in the top 5, I guess. DMG comes in a little bit lower than Core on this one here. And that all depends on how much the companies are hodling here. Some companies don't, some companies do, and that's why we look at some of the other metrics as well. Marathon, again, here, if you look at market cap minus HODL for their future hash rate, they came in last spot, being most overvalued for that portion of it. And that will get updated here as well. Okay, so here's a table. What we really should be looking is at the market cap minus divided by hash rate, and then the values here. So the higher the value is, the more overvalued they are on their hash rate compared to some of the other companies, but there's a reason for it, okay? And then when we look at the actual numbers here, so we graded them 1 through 18 for all of these, and then we got the final score on all of these as well. And here's what we got. So we got Stronghold, Mawson, Sphere 3D, and Core being as possibly the most undervalued. Core especially, I think, but some of the other ones here, there's a reason for it. And that could be debt, that could be operational expenses, whatever that might be, or lack of growth. That's the reason why. Then you got DMG, DigiHost, Argo, Iris, Hive, TeraWolf, Bitfarms, Cypher, BitDigital, BitDeer, Hut8, CleanSpark, Bright, and Marathon getting the most value, or investors are paying more for their hash rate than these miners down here, okay? So I hope that kind of clears it up, and I'm sorry that I made a mistake here. There's a lot of data that I deal with. The data seemed, like I was looking at here, it seemed to make sense, but once you actually talk it over with somebody that also is in the space, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, I see where I made my mistake. So I do apologize. Hopefully you guys are okay with my mistake. It's never intentional mistakes that I want to make for you guys, and if I do make them, like I said, I will definitely correct them. So if you guys do see anything that I make a mistake on, whether it's the number of hash rate that a miner has or anything like that, please do let me know, because I will make a correction on it, and I will let you guys know about it, whether it's through a video like this or I'll put a post up on YouTube as well. Okay, depending on the severity of this. This was a pretty severe mistake, so I want to do a video on this and get this out of the way and correct it and be done with it. So again, thank you to Anthony for putting this out to me, and thank you to everyone else that has made mistakes in the past, but not as big as this one. So definitely let me know if I do make a mistake. I'm only human. I'm covering 18 miners. I'm doing this in my spare time, trying to get this out to you guys as fast as I can, so I can make a mistake, okay? But that's it. So I wanted to point that out. And let's move on to some of the stories that we do have here, and then we'll get into the stories, and that's it. So the first one we're going to get into here really quick is going to be Stronghold. They entered into a 15 million private placement. So here's what they had to say on it. Stronghold entered into a securities purchase agreement with an existing institutional investor, the purchaser, to sell 2.3 million of shares of Class A common stock and share equivalents, in each case at a price of $6.71 per share equivalent. The company also issued to the purchaser warrants to purchase an aggregate of 2.3 million shares of Class A common stock with an initial exercise price of $7 per share, subject to, and such warrants are not exercisable until 6 months after the issuance. So they basically have to wait 6 months before they can possibly get those as well. So this will be good. This will help them pay down some of the debt that they do have. Maybe they're going to use it for operations as well. We don't know. They didn't really provide that as far as what they're going to be doing with it. On that side. Then we have an update here as well. You can read the rest of the stuff here if you guys like. And then Panther Creek operational update. This was a little bit of a surprise here. So on November 20th, 2023, the company's wholly owned Panther Creek plant experienced unexpected ash silo flow issues. So they use ash, right, spent ash basically into a silo and flows into the burner basically, and that's how they generate electricity. As a result of the company operated the plant at a lower output while the plant worked to remedy the issue. From November 20th, 2023 through December 7th, the Panther Creek plant operated at approximately 60% net capacity factor while importing the remaining electricity necessary to fulfill its data center needs. The company's data center operations were unaffected during that period. So they did have issues. They imported electricity at that point, so I guess it's okay, but they did pay more for it here. So while progress was made on December 8th, the company elected to shut off the plant for what was expected to be a short-term unplanned outage to fully fix the ash silo. The company took these steps to ensure maximum uptime and availability during the coming winter months. The repairs were not completed until December 21st, resulting in Panther Creek plant importing electricity between December 8th and 21st. So that's basically, what is that, about 13 days or so, almost 2 weeks. Between December 12th and December 20th, the Panther Creek data center was unexpectedly required to curtail load to between 10 megawatts and 50 megawatts due to PJM system reliability issues and transmission line outage. So it sounds like they're kind of preparing us that December numbers might be pretty bad. But we'll see how those all look in total. So in total, the company estimates that it incurred fuel costs and operational and maintenance expenses of approximately 1.5 million beyond the scope of normal expected operations. Okay. So they're definitely taking a hit on this. And that's like why I said this is one of the reasons why they're down so much on their value is because debt, operational expenses are just way up there. And hopefully the carbon offsets or carbon credits is going to be doing here going forward, possibly, those will hopefully help offset some of those things. But they still got to really cut down on their expenses as much as they can. I don't know if they can. I don't know how lean they are running right now. But if they're not running lean, they need to run a lot leaner than what they are right now. Okay, so that's it for that one. Next is going to be on Hive here. So Hive Digital announces purchase of 7,000 Bitmain S21 Ant miners to expand production by 1.4 exahash. These are really good miners, S21s. They're very efficient. So this was good news here. So Hive is pleased to announce the purchase of 7,000 units of new Ant miners or new Bitmain S21 Ant miners, which will be delivered January through June, so basically 6 months in 2024. Once installed, Hive's existing 140 megawatt of green energy infrastructure, Hive's average fleet efficiency will be 25 joules per terahash and 5.8 exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity. So remember that part here, okay? Because when we come down here, it kind of contradicts what they said above. Additionally, Hive has an existing inventory fleet of 6.6 exahash of ASICs. With this delivery of 1.4 exahash of S21 Ant miners, Hive will have a total ASIC capacity of 8 exahash. Okay. I know that they got some cash here recently that they're going to be building out another 100 megawatts potentially between their sites. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that in time for the end of June, possibly. The other thing is they're saying that they're going to get to X exahash, but they have a lot of older miners here. So let's take a look at the numbers that we do have here for them as far as the miners are concerned. And we'll talk about it here because that does seem a little contradicting what they're saying there. Okay, let's go back to this. They're saying once installed, the existing 140 megawatts of green energy that they do have, they will have 25 joules per terahash and 5.8 exahash of miner installed. Okay, so based on that, I looked at all the miners that they have here. So I got them to 6 exahash here to get them close to the 25 joules per terahash here. Okay, I could possibly remove some of these older, well, I guess these would be older miners here. These were from February of 2021, where they reported purchasing these. I'm guessing they got installed within probably a couple months, but those were the 100 terahash miners at that point. I'm guessing they were maybe the less efficient ones, possibly. So if we got rid of those, maybe or some of these up here as well from September of 2021 as well, those might be taken out. That would get us closer to the 5.8 that they're saying at around 25 joules per terahash. So that might work out there. Okay. Now, with all the miners that we have here, I have them getting to approximately 6.9 exahash, not including any of these 90 terahash miners, these 98 terahash miners as well, these 87, these 74 terahash miners that they had before, 90 again here, 90, and then 79 terahash miners that they had over here. That got me to 6.9 here. And at that point, well, I think for all the miners that they have right now, except for some of the 74 terahash miners, we're including some of the 90 terahash miners, they are at 180 kilowatts. The 5.8, which they said was going to be 140 kilowatts, we got pretty close to that with 115. I think if we reduce those 90 terahash miners here, those, or the 100 terahash miners here that are 90 petahash a piece here, 900 of those, that might lower us down to about the 140 megawatts that they stated. So I'm a little confused as far as where they're going to be getting to. Are they going to be at 8 exahash with the current miners that they have, or will they be only at 5.8 with the 140 megawatts that they do have? And then are they going to be growing to 8 exahash beyond that, right? If they're going to be installing the infrastructure to get to another additional 100 megawatts, then I could see them getting to 8 exahash. But right now, it just doesn't seem like it. So it's a little play on words, and it's a little coy, I think, on the information there. But nonetheless, they are growing. They are getting rid of some, hopefully they're getting rid of some of these older miners here that are little bit less efficient, the 98, 90s. The 74s, I'm pretty sure those are gone by now. And the 79s as well. It's just the question on the 90s, the 98s that they have here. Are those going to be getting rid of the 96 here that we have as well? That would be nice to know. And they just don't provide that information. They provide when they buy, but they don't really provide that they got rid of miners. I would have to probably dig into their quarterly results to take a look at to see what they actually maybe stated in there. But that's probably going to be buried in there anyways. Okay. So that's it. I just want to point that out. I think the growth is good. Them getting rid of some of the older miners would be also good, beneficial to them. Them growing an additional 100 megawatts is good. So they're on the right track. They're doing the right things, I think. They're a little slow at it, but they are getting there. They're always one of the most efficient miners that we look at here when it comes to efficiency. So if we look at BTC per exahash efficiency, they're always pretty much one of the top ones here. If not first place, second place, somewhere around there. So they're definitely efficient in that section as well. Okay. But that is it. I just wanted to kind of point that out to you guys here, kind of what I'm dealing with here when the miners report. And that's why I said, I'm very glad that Anthony Powers is working with the miners here to try to get a standardized, some kind of a system where, if you're going to install miners, what are you taking out? If you are, provide that information for us so that we can track it better. And then we're not guessing on that information. Also, we do have miners that are providing BTC equivalents, right? If they're mining with GPUs, or if they're getting power credits, or for hosting, some of them are including that in BTC equivalents. It would be nice to have a standardized system for being able to track them properly across the board for everybody, right? So I will back him on that. And then, like I said, hopefully we'll get him on maybe after the new year a little bit to discuss some of the metrics that we both use here. He does more of the accounting side of things. I look at also some of the efficiency like he does. But some of the things that we do look at are overlapping. I have a little bit more data, I think, than he does as far as historical data. So we may work a little bit together on that as well. So going forward. So I think that's going to be interesting. So definitely give him a shout out. Tell him thank you for pointing this out mistake to me. And like I said, I am sorry about the mistake. It was never intentional. And I just misinterpreted my own data, unfortunately. But we got it corrected. So thank you again to Anthony for that. And we'll try to get as much accurate data as we can. All right, so that's it. Spreadsheet is going to be available to my Patreon members as always. It's $5 a month, and 10% off if you do the 12-month package. In there, we do have the private Discord server as well for that, where we have a lot of great communication in there. We talk about the miners, the Bitcoin, the MicroStrategy, trading topics. So it's fun in there as well, and that's all part of that $5 a month thing. So you get a lot of value, I think, for it. Other than that, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll look at maybe some other metrics that we have here to look at that we haven't done yet this month. And then we'll also look at the monthly, well, not the monthly, but the weekly performance of Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. I think Bitcoin's kind of flat on the week a little bit. It's up a little bit, but not much. But I think the miners have actually done a much, much better job going into this week. So we'll take a look at where the miners stand at that point. Okay, but that's it. Thank you again for coming in to watch this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And then we'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Sunday is obviously Christmas. There may not be a video on Christmas unless I'm absolutely bored out of my mind, waiting for the boys to open up their Christmas presents. All right, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Otherwise, have a great night.